And ladies and gentlemen, we are live and in color from Newport Beach, California. And it's Friday, April 10th, 2026. And today I did something fairly interesting. In the morning, as I checked out a few newspapers, actual newspapers, I compared the contents, the front sections, the first sections of the Financial Times and the New York Times. And I left these things inside. I'll go get them in a few minutes. But I would ask, number one, I'd be curious, does anybody have, it takes time to get a newspaper these days. They're not fairly instant. And after I have a little coffee in the morning, I'll drop by the library and, I'll pick up the Financial Times from London or, uh, what else, New York Times, just whatever they happen to have, which is a really nice resource, by the way. And it's always struck me, particularly during this Iranian war that we're in through no, you know, yeah, it's only one guy's fault. I mean, if you're gonna lay the blame, he's the guy. And you can always tell leaders by what they do. Do they accept responsibility, or do they pass the blame on? And I think at this point, everybody's fairly comfortable suggesting that the current administration is way short in the brain power department. I mean, we're in the States, we've got access to brilliant people, or we had uh, access to brilliant people from around the world in it clearly wasn't a perfect world, but it was pretty okay. It was pretty peaceful. It was pretty prosperous. And I don't know how much else a government can provide, but for you know prosperity and peace. I mean, my God, that's pretty much a slice of heaven and a piece of cake. And but for you would have to assume largely partisan reasons that we're in this we're on this excursion. Was that not too much? When I think about an excursion, isn't that the name of the biggest Ford SUV they make? Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, I'm sure I've had smaller apartments than these things. And that, maybe the auto manufacturers take a little note of that, maybe we don't need these things quite as big. People may, want them, but, there's, even in a capitalistic society, is a point of diminishing returns. And, a 6,000 pound vehicle weighs like, oh, I don't know, one and a half times as much as a 4,000 pound vehicle. And at that rate, they will use up they will degrade the roads one and a half times as long, or one and a half times as quickly, rather. And yeah, I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to drive around in a tank, and if that's what you want, then go get it. But I think there will be certain restrictions. I think if you guys take out more than one parking place ticket, again, because parking places are scarce resources, and your thing is consuming more than the one space per car tradition or custom, or it's probably a law these days. So, let's see if we can back down the size of the old SUV thing. I mean, there's a woman who comes to the gym. I'm sorry if the video is a little shaky. I'm sitting on a wooden chair overlooking Newport Harbor because the library is closed until Katie comes back from lunch. So, excuse me. So we're actually trying this kind of like live without a net. I don't have my favorite little Rode Pod mic. I don't have my Scarlett 2i2 anniversary, the blue one, fourth generation, nor do I have my Shure SHR 440 headphones. This is essentially yours truly. I guess that would be me, your ever loving host, Abby Kaufman. And, so just here we are. It's a Dynamite Friday. Guys, I enjoyed doing this and talking to and next Monday we're gonna have Joe Kerr he's running for Congress from California District 40, which is right next door in the city of Orange, not too far from here in Newport. And just to something you guys might want to consider is that I not only did I join the local Newport Beach club, which is and called the Newport Beach Women's Democratic Club, and hell, I'd pay double to join a women's club. Would any guy would, wouldn't we? At a certain point. So, but not only did I join the Newport Beach Women's Democratic Club, but I also joined the Costa Mesa Democrats and the Laguna Beach Democrats, and that's like one county north and one county just inland from Newport. And you know, in at this point in time, everybody has to take a stand relative to getting rid of the current administration. Let's get some Democrats in office nationwide, and then we'll sort out about the job of prosecuting people and accountability and all that. But it's just beyond me how anybody could possibly vote for Trump after January 6th. I'm thoroughly amazed and more shocked than you will ever know. But that's just kind of the way it is out here. Um, I do have to tell you, this is while a laptop stand would be really nice, and I might be able to improvise one here for you guys, and hopefully uh, still be close enough to get the audio in, and maybe we'll try that a bit. Is that if you send me a comment if that's a little too bright or too anything, and we'll see what we can do about it. But like I say, the library is kind of closed until maybe what 12:30 ish. So in the meantime, we'll. Oh, is that any better? Put a little screen up to kind of. Actually, it's my little foam rubber computer case used to keep your laptop in, but I always kind of keep one because laptops are, not only they're fairly expensive these days, even though they are a relative bargain. And I can't wait to try the new netbook or whatever it is Mac calls it. I'm using my MacBook Air M4 for the broadcast, and and you know what? I was so anxious to make a good impression. I need to back up and tell you, well, you know where we are. We'll tell you who we are and how we got here. And this is the first link in the chain of the Democracy Radio Network.com. And I mentioned the .com because that's where you catch the live stream. There's a live stream link on the homepage, and you'll be able to get this with a few second latency, just because it ain't a perfect world. And we'd love to have you call in, let us know what's on your mind. 949-629 3820, Newport Beach, California, so that means we're on Pacific time. But I'm your host, Abby Kaufman, and I will be here for well, hopefully till 4 o'clock Pacific time, and that'll give us plenty of time to chat as need be. And I don't really want to surprise anybody and call them, but you know what? Maybe we'll kind of yetz around, and let's call Normie and see what happens. Are we ready? I think we're ready. Okay, we'll see who this guy is. Hello? Yeah. Normally, this is so shocking, but I can actually hear you. And hold on, and we'll see kind of what it's like through the speaker. There's probably a little feedback. Maybe I was a little too close. I don't know how this works, but at least we do know that I can make calls through the my Zorber app with the VoIP is working. So give us a call at 949-629-3820, and we'll look forward to having you tell us what's going on. And another thing we'd like to kind of chat about is, uh, you know, while we chat about climate change for a second, and you may or may not know there's been an upswing in the number of groups that have climate change denial as part of their core belief. And when people ignore science, I think I think ignore is a fairly important word because I'm pretty sure I'm a fairly bright guy. But I think kind of ignore and ignorant is, like, well, too, there's no coincidence, no, not a coincidence there. So when you deny the facts, when you deny what is commonly accepted, that it's so it's that's something so well accepted that courts recognize it as a or as judicial notice, something so well known. Excuse me, that whoever's in before the court doesn't have to bother to prove it. For instance, you don't have to bother to prove that December 25th is Christmas. That's beyond dispute. So those kind of things uh, get admitted to legal proceedings because the court doesn't want to really waste its time with minor stuff like that. And there's a general principle that you probably should know about if you haven't already, and it's called de minimis non curat la lex, and that means technically in Latin that the court doesn't get involved in trivial matters. And of course, the problem here is defining trivial and to whom. Of course, the current administration that nothing is trivial and that everything is theirs, which is kind of a lousy position. And while we're on the subject of everything is theirs, does anyone anywhere think that the ballroom is anything but like a really, really, really expensive shakedown that is gonna kind of, let's just kind of back up for a second. I think anybody who ever does business with Donald Trump, would only do it once, and because it's my perception that particularly if you're a guy, but women too, that there will be a certain amount of bending over to please him. And the only question is, which area bends. And I think that you might not be surprised to find out that when Trump calls like a business, a young, plumber, whatever it is, in, you can rest assured that the second time he goes in, he brings his own anal lube because he knows what's going to happen. Uh, women he probably just hates enough to not really care. But the guy will pick up on that and just not let it hurt too badly, or God only knows. But that's neither here nor there. But as we look out on stunningly beautiful Newport Harbor, it must be 70 degrees, sunny. There's just not much to be said or done. This is very cool. Um, we're broadcasting through StreamYard.com, and I don't know a whole lot about streaming hosts, but they seemed good and they seemed responsive. And I don't. it's kind of like a mechanic. I don't need a brilliant mechanic who can get every, ounce of horsepower out of my car. I need a guy that's honest, that will tell me what's wrong and fix it if he can. And, and here's the deal. Mechanics are kind of like lawyers and everybody else. They can't worry about being paid. That's why, you know, you may have a money problem paying for your car to get repaired, but you don't have, a car repair problem because the car is fixed. Paying for it's a little awkward, but these days and times there are, uh, this whole private credit thing is getting ready to explode. And if you're a little unsure as to what private credit means, let's think about the traditional places that extend credit, like banks. Okay, but let's take that one. And don't forget, banks in the past you needed a physical presence to accept deposits, to transact business, whatever it is, make loans. We've all kind of walked by the little cubicles before we get in line at the local bank. All right, so that's traditional credit, but there's a American thing about private credit companies, and of course, where you have companies in a capitalistic society, you will have funds that deal in this. So what happens is, and I tell you what, I use eBay. I'm sure everybody shops at eBay at some point or other, and I've got a 20-year-old Jag that I love to death, and it's fine. It's paid for. I just want to keep it going. Uh, so, and let's say I needed, I don't know, a water pump, which I just bought to have one around just in case. You never know when you might need a new water pump. And it was actually reasonable. It was like $50 through eBay. But then, of course, the entity known as PayPal would offer to extend me credit, and the $50 water pump I can opt to pay it off in 4 payments interest free. And I think the deal is like every 2 weeks a payment's due. And I tend to do that. But of course, PayPal is like everybody else. Their revenues dry up. People don't always pay. And what happens to the people that invest in stuff like that? Well, it's nowadays it's the different hedge funds that will invest in private credit. But there's just that huge one, like $1 billion or so in like near the Detroit or something. I think it was auto related. But anyway, so eBay, and I've also used Affirm on occasion. Matter of fact, I forgot what I used it for. But anyway, it was. Oh, I remember. It was this laptop, my MacBook Air M4 that I'm thrilled with. And at the time, it was like I got the open box deal, and it's like $800 or so. Uh, but a firm split it up with me over the course of a year. Some interest, sure, but got me the laptop. So they have a firm. And what about Reverb or Reverb? I don't know what's the proper thing these days. But how about the way those guys extend money on guitars, extend credit on guitars? Don't forget, these are unsecured, high interest loans. I think I looked at something the other day and saw 34% interest. Um, I do think that's, usury. Uh, but, it's a capitalistic society and they're taking a hell of a risk. So, and in the end, like everything else, it's up to the consumer to do whatever it is we want to do. And, you know, in that the key in the beginning, and I want everybody to remember this, in the beginning there was the deed. the act that got the ball rolling, whatever it is. In the creation of the universe, if you believe in the Big Bang theory, which again, 99, oh, actually not even 99%, but everybody that's not insane believes in that thing. Why? Because this one's pretty truly proven. We've got the CERN super collider in Geneva that's literally reproduced the origins of time. And it is kind of nice the way the thing is in Geneva, so close to Rome, and you may have read that they're extending the sea line in oh, geez, could it be Rome? I forgot where. Anyway, and as they dig through, of course, they come across Roman ruins, a tub and rims and all this. And you gotta hand it to these guys. So what they did was they built the subway station around these ancient ruins. So when you get out off the train, you're staring at what, a 2,500, 3,000 year old bathtub. This is really cool. So I think the Italians really deserve our credit for all this. And what else is going on? Oh, but back to the private credit. So Reverb for guitars, a firm as God knows what. And then let's take it a step further. What about guys like Walmart who finance their own? Now, I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, and one of our cousins were the Kirstein family, and Max Kirstein ran this place called Metropolitan Clothing and Furniture on King Street. And it was a big place, and they always got the cool stuff for us. Like the first time I saw a color TV, if you could believe, that was at the Kirstein's house around the corner. I think they lived on Grove when we were in San Souci in the northwest section, if you know what that is, not far from the Citadel and UG Street and Parkwood and Hampton Park. I forgot about that. Hampton Park was right there. And but I digress. Other than to mention, see that in that area of Charleston, as I understand it, the like you know 1,200 square foot post World War II house is like well over $1 million. And also South Carolina does something interesting. What they did, oh, I don't know if they still do this or not, but they cap auto registration fees or sales taxes, whatever it is, at $350. So everybody's going, geez, that's great. But what you don't realize is that if somebody up at the upper end doesn't pay their fair share, you are paying more. So, if you can buy the car, then you can afford the registration. I just don't, and to me, that's uh, people, similarly situated people, not being treated the same. So, not to bitch and moan about it, but just the point of the matter is that in Europe, if I'm not mistaken, they have this thing called the Office of Economic Cooperation Development (OECD), and I think the EU, their total amount of registered hedge funds have disclosed something like $300 billion, whatever it is. And those kind of things have real effects on the economy when things don't go according to plan. Not unlike the long-term capital thing of years ago. Um, Markets weren't designed for that kind of a tremor like an earthquake. And while you and I may not buy a shirt until it's 50% off, in those kind of numbers, 10% is just astronomical. And I want to take this chance to kind of praise every bond trader in the world. I'm convinced you guys are always the smartest people in the room. And anyway, thanks, guys. Now, I would assume that some of the regular short hedge funds would be attacking these guys, the private credit companies. Yeah, we'll have to look into that one day. It would be interesting to see how the private funds are cannibalizing the other private funds. Um, and somewhere or other, people make money whether the transaction gets consummated or not. That's kind of like a toll booth concept. It seems like whatever it is, you got to pay at least 10% to whoever just across to the other side. And for instance, think about a boat. I really like the Harbor 20s out here, and you can buy them fairly cheap. So, oh, I say fairly cheap, maybe $10,000, 20-foot boat. So, let's say you buy your $10,000 20-foot boat, and if you want to race it, the rules say you have to keep it in the water. You can't, dry sail it. You can't take it out of the water and put it on the hard every time. So you can work on it and keep the bottom nice. And that just it's against the rules. So you obviously need a place to keep it in the water. And years ago, I knew a guy who had like a really teeny slip between two big boats, and he got the bargain price of $25 a month. And at $25 a month, that would be what, $3,000 for his whatever boat, which is, I mean, that's more or less reasonable, right? But within the last 5 years or so, let's say those fees have tripled. So now what used to cost $25 a foot now costs $50 a foot. And if I'm not mistaken, my schoolboy math tells me that if you got a 20-foot boat and someone's going to charge you $50 a foot, then that comes up to be like $8,000, like keying grass in the obvious. And so at that point, you are committed to spending $12,000 a year on your $10,000 boat. Now, I personally think that, and when you have a decent sized boat, you expect, things to cost a little more than they would in a sunfish. Uh, but you just don't, you don't want them to go through the roof. So, so anyway, $1,000 a month for your slip fees. And you maybe get a dock, maybe it's a mooring, heaven forbid, so you need a yacht club membership to get a water taxi to your boat. But so and then I always think you need at least 10% of the cost of the boat for kind of upkeep, which again isn't much. Again on that $10,000 boat, I think the class rules let you get. I think they have two sails, and I think you can replace one every other year and one every third year or something like that. And I see just this is one of those. So again, so that's sales. Let's say that's I don't know. I should easily put aside $1,000 a year. So that's 12,000. That's 24,000, isn't it? More or less. Or even let's say the original 12 and another, 1,000 for whatever. Uh, that's $13,000 on your 20-foot boat. Now the lousy thing is, I'm one of those guys that would actually take pleasure and use the boat. See, whenever I have a boat, we always leave the dock. I mean, you may not. Sorry, breeze a little cool out here today, and but yeah, it's just a little awkward these days. Um, so yeah, so again, oh, and let's say you want to be a real cheapskate if you're an old guy, and what if you're an old guy that doesn't mind sailing like small boats like Sunfish or whatever it is? Well, around here they just don't have them. Newport's got a place where they will have 150 Harbor 20s, and they'll get half of them out to race in A, B, and C fleets around the harbor. So, the sad thing is, ultimately it's always worth it. it's just a pain to have to pay for it and kind of swallow it all the time. But you know, as my mother would say, "Cry me a river, pal," because she was, well, not the most empathetic woman you've ever met. Uh, but uh, but that's going back to the thing about how good people create and bad people destroy. Uh, Mom was a classically trained concert pianist. I mean, she played, you know, from Chopin, Mozart, Rachmaninoff, whatever it was from those, like what, 1700s, 1800s. She loved that stuff. Oh, the guy with the Polonaise, military Polonaise. Anyway, and you can't forget the minute waltz and all that stuff. But anyway, my point is, let's say you can strum a guitar, string a few chords together, and let's even assume you're a decent rhythm guitarist who, can step out and do a lead or so every now and then if it's like really simple. So let's assume that as some minimal level of accomplishment in musicianship. Well, I don't know if you ever looked at these, you know, uh, composer's sheet music, but there is a lot of ink on the page. And not only is there a lot of ink on the page, there's a lot of different lines of ink on the page. And, then you got your treble clef, you got your bass clef, then you got your three pedals. By the way, my mother was insulted when I got her a keyboard that only had one pedal. I mean, I've never felt so inadequate before, but, the next day we got the three pedal version. And when you're an accomplished, and I'm going to say pianist, and can play that kind of stuff and read the music and have it go from your eyes through your brain's processes to out through your fingers, moving at the speed of lightning. I mean, you just can't be. Uh, uh, let's just say you got to be really sharp to do this. So it always, it's something you always have to keep in mind that if you see somebody do that at an early age, they're uh, they can be hardworking and tough to beat later on in life. So you might as well make friends with them now, and hopefully you guys get along well. Uh, Also, I had suggested the other day that we're going to have Joe Kerr from California 40 on. He's a retired fireman who uh, who did his best to explain to his fellow firemen why they would not be paid after the Orange County declared bankruptcy. That this you might want to start looking around, pal. His wife and kids kind of need a little something to eat, and the problem, and it's like I tell people, if I didn't have this addiction to food, clothing, and shelter, it wouldn't be so bad. But yeah, food, clothing, and shelter are a pretty big deal these days. So, while I kind of digress about that, it's my point to let you know that in this and in everything else, you gotta speak up in the world. I mean, you just have to. And I guess the best reason or one of the better reasons I can give you for saying that is Great Aunt Rachel. Great Aunt Rachel was married to Great Uncle Joe, and he was, I mean, uh, Uncle Joe, I mean, sometimes if you ain't a whole lot of nice things to say, it's better just not say anything. And the older I get, the more I try to be like that. But according to my great aunt Rachel, if you act like a mat, people will walk on you. Now, that kind of a visual is something that after you think about it, if you even have to think about it, that it's probably not what you would like to have happen. You wouldn't want to spend much time doing that. So it's important to step out early and make a decision. But here's the key thing. I used to see these old guys at the gym with their grandkids, and And, I'm sure it's like everything else. Some of them turn out well, some of them don't. Probably most of them do turn out well because they are spending times in an affluent area with their affluent grandparents. So, yeah, they probably won't have a whole lot of problems in the future. Uh, so, anyway, I forgot where we were going with that, kids. Oh, yeah. And my thought was that I don't know. I don't know much about childhood development or developmental psychology or whatever you want to call it, but I do think that that kids see and do, and just kind of like monkeys see and do. So it's never too early, and here's the key point: it's absolutely positively never too early to figure out, at least try to figure out how to make a good decision. I mean, is that tough? Probably not. I would think so. Uh, but anyway, can you imagine training a child how to make sound decisions at the Malcolm Gladwell generally considered magic age of 4 years old? I think he says that around age 4, yeah, is when like the motocross champion or the superbike champion, whatever that is, that's when they start, riding and kind of racing the motorcycles. Tennis kids, I don't know if they still have like the goofball kind of kids thing, Barney the dinosaur or whoever they have. Uh, but when you're about 4, it's not uncommon for parents to take the kids onto the tennis court and say, hit the ball toward the purple dinosaur, whatever it is. What did I just say his name was? Anyway, you get the idea. Ain't that many purple dinosaurs. Or Barney. Let's hit Barney with the tennis ball. And slowly they get that hand-eye coordination going. And then, of course, you put the Barney, the purple dinosaur, always at the intersection. So they, right at the line. So they're learning to keep the ball as deep as possible. Okay. And, kids were kind of made for tennis because when you think about it, the game involves sending a ball back and forth over a net using two rackets that have a some string on them. Right? That's kind of tennis. Whoever gets it back and forth most usually wins. So, like I said, the kid grows up, aiming for Barney at the corner, like the killer shot, and the kids just got it. So, and I've got a friend I've forgotten to mention him, Scott Allen. Scott's from Long Beach and longtime sailing family. And Scott first raced with his granddad when he was 4. Yeah, and I mean, Scott was one of the early computer assisted design stuff with Jerry Milgram at MIT. And I'm talking about Scott Allen, Allan, and Scott used to have an entity called Horizon Sales, which is how I met him. I had the local sailmaker was a local in Charleston. The local sailmaker was a fellow named Trip Fellabaum, and you see these sailing advertisements for places they used to actually make sails and cut them and sell and all that. But anyway, they used to be called sail lofts. So, so anyway, Trip ran the local Horizon. Actually started out with his own kind of label and literally sewing pieces of Dacron together, and it was called Southwind Sailmakers. And Trip is an interesting guy. We crossed paths at some point in college. Trip went to Clemson. He was from a really nice suburb of Pennsylvania, but he would summer and apprentice with sailmakers in Annapolis. So he's, a pretty plugged in guy. And so anyway, got accepted to school in D.C. for a couple of years. And that means that, I mean, I'm a racing sailor in 50 miles of Annapolis. I'm getting on a boat. There's no two ways about this. So, like, Trip, I'm going to school in D.C. And he says, well, when you get there, go see Scott Allen, tell him we sail together and see if he can help you with a ride. So great. Thanks. So I go out there, and the guys couldn't be nicer. Scott Super. There was two loft guys there, Jim Cullen and another guy named Bob Schwartz. And Bob, uh, they Jim kind of ran the floor, and Bob kind of did a lot of the repairs. But like most sailmakers, sailmakers are extremely cheap people. I think in my entire life, I've had one sailmaker buy me a drink. Just maybe I didn't take, maybe there were other opportunities that I wasn't aware of, but I've had a sailmaker buy me a drink exactly once. So anyway, what Bob would do is Bob would save the lightweight spinnaker strips, this lightweight Dacron, the big billowy sail. And now, of course, the next question is, well, why would he save the spinnaker scraps? And the answer was, and I swear to God, I almost wish I didn't know this, to build a hot air balloon. So I don't know how high those guys get. I'm sure it got to be 800,000 feet. A good ways to fall. Enough to really hurt when you stop falling. Uh, so anyway, with that involved, I think I'd use like kind of nice new spinnaker material. I don't know if I'd more cheap out at that point. To each his own, but sometimes you gotta know when to spend a buck. And I think floating at like what is it, 800 feet above the earth in a basket in a big old propane torch. I think it's time to like not take too many risks. Again, I'm older, and times come at a premium these days, but I just don't think I would do that. Now, I would do tell you what I think I might do. I would definitely do it with somebody, as I would love to take a hang glider down in San Diego and La Jolla and cruise over Black's Beach. That would be the nude beach down there. So I always wanted to do that. So if anybody wants to take Abby on a Black's Beach tour via hang glider, give them a call at 949-629-3820. We are Democracy Radio Network, and like I said, we couldn't be more thrilled to be here with you know you almost don't know what the word is. The SOB comes up with things like daily, and it really is hard to focus on the latest offense. It's just voluminous. And he's lying about half of it. Actually, he's probably lying about all of it. Uh, and talk about that. I think this was in the Financial Times. I wish it was. I wish I had it here, but I didn't. I didn't actually take it. And anyway, something about the countries or whatever it is are waiting to see if Trump changes his mind again. And he plays dirty pool. You know, uh, and things depend on stability, and he doesn't. He's incapable of being stable. And as you are hearing more and more things that sound like 25th Amendment is ass, I thought that was really funny. One of his own guys was like, 25th Amendment is ass. Um, yeah, it would be really nice, but the way things are now, it's kind of like when a Russian like Nikita Khrushchev would die. When the Kremlin says the leader has a cold, what they're really saying is the Russian president has died, his body's on ice. That's really what that means. So you really can't, you have to read between the lines, as they say. And it's just a really good skill to have. And again, how do you get those skills? Well, it's just about like everything else. You need a little guidance, you know, human guidance. Um, will there be around way around that in the future? Sure. But anyway, but I want to go back to some of this government stuff. And another, I think, headline in the Financial Times was something about how the future of NASA is tied to Elon Musk. That he does things so much cheaper that there's just not any choice. You have to use this stuff. And it's reusable. And, let's just hope the splashdown goes well. I think, isn't that tonight or tomorrow night, somewhere off the California coast? Uh, you know, I'm sure that each one of those guys, excuse me, is absolutely fearless. But when you're in a capsule and you're coming back from the moon, and you'll be traveling as fast as, what was that, 24,000 miles an hour. So they gotta make sure those heat shields hold. It would not surprise me to learn that Donald Trump cleaned out a lot of the experienced maintenance people because it's what he does. And when he does that, he really does take from the poor and give to the rich. And somehow I don't think that was kind of what Jesus was into. And I think about, geez, what was Jesus into, or what would Jesus do? Uh, I'm sure, I'd like to think he'd try to be a fair, even-handed kind of guy. I would hope the first thing he would do would be to consult, the books of at least five religions, with emphasis on the Sikhs. Those guys, shoot, there's a old plane going by, and it might be a little noisy for a minute, but we shouldn't have to be outside here too much longer. We'll check in a few minutes and go for broke. But so anyway, when I get up, I'll be sure to give you a little notice and you know see if we can hook up everything in the library. Even though it is a beautiful day out here, and if I didn't really need power, I would probably stay outside. But uh, maybe we'll stay outside till 1 o'clock and have 1 hour out and maybe 3 hours in. So anyway, and what I just told you about, you know, NASA being tied to Musk. On the one hand, I would rather not use Musk's rockets. I'd rather use our own just because it employs people and scientists and all that. Uh, but I don't expect my position to carry the day. And the reason I don't expect my position to carry the day is, at the end, it's a financial money decision. Do we hire or do we farm out? And, I'll be the first one to tell you governments aren't the most efficient users of money, but it's that amateurishness, or amateurishness, however it goes, is exactly what the founders wanted. They did not want a permanent class of ruler, which is kind of what a monarchy is. And they were kind of leaving that when they came here. I know nobody really remembers this, but weren't the Plymouth Rock guys the first ones to leave because of religious persecution and probably prosecution? So we kind of need to put that stuff to rest. But God Almighty, what are you gonna do? And I was talking to John Perone this morning, and I said, don't you think it's more than a little coincidental that two of the three major religions in the world both have somebody who died and came back and went to heaven? Which, when you grow up Jewish, it's kind of funny. I can never happen. Uh, and maybe what people want from them. You know what? Hang on, we gotta readjust for a second, and maybe we'll just kind of bring this a little closer and kind of hope for the best. Yeah, that's a different perspective. I don't know if we like that or not, but at least it's things the laptop's in the shade, and I can see the broadcast, the monitor. So we are looking okay as we approach what is it, 10 minutes to 1 o'clock on a really nice Friday, April 10th, 2026, here in Newport Beach, California. And, you know, Newport's such an insulated place. Is that, and well, I tell you what brings that topic to mind is I went and got a little gas for my 2026 S-type Jag with the 3-liter Ford V6 in it, right? Not the hot rod, not, 3-liter Ford V6. And my $80 fill up is now $100. And I'm, clearly not, wealthy or any of that stuff, um, but at that point, that's a 20% increase, obviously. Um, but just in terms of dollars, that goes from $320 of disposable income to, you know, well, let's just say a lot more. And so I think for like $40, if I'm not mistaken, I got 6 point something gallons at the Valero, which I use because they're the cheapest top tier gas. And there's a Chevron that I was kind of measured by. Sorry about that little adjustment problem. Um, and they were almost $7 for premium, over $8 for diesel. Um, but my brother always makes things, and his thought was, well, what if it was another, not a direct thing, but what if there was the 2026 equivalent of an Arab oil embargo? I mean, economies are much too intertwined to just, unwrap the deal. So, you got to be so careful these days. And again, that's funny. That's why we're here with the Democracy Radio Network.com, is that we are an advocate for democratic leaders, period, on every level, from school board, dog catcher, if they still have those kind of elections. I will, we'll help anybody. Just give us a call, 949-629-3820, and we'd love to hear what you have to say, because it's, in the end, it's, change can only come from you. Change can only come from within. If it's imposed, there's some likelihood that, uh, that would be rejected. And if it is rejected, or when it's rejected, how violent would the rejection be? So, much like the girl told me when I asked if the tuna salad is better than the egg salad, she told me, I ain't know. So, I'm like, oh, okay. And then so she's kind of waiting for me to say something. I'm like, well, thanks, but if you ain't know, I ain't want any. So we kind of left on mutual terms. Oh, but then, as if by magic, I'm leaving the recording studio at the Newport Beach Library. They have this little thing called the Sound Lab downstairs. It's a little recording studio. It doesn't have anything much, but it's a decent sized room with an iMac and GarageBand and mic stands, and you get the deal. So anyway, so as I'm walking down the hallway with my Telecaster, and I mentioned that because Telecasters usually fit in these oblong, rectangular guitar cases. So I'm waiting for the elevator to go upstairs because I've got my Telecaster in the case, which is kind of heavy. Um, So this guy comes up, a colorful dressed black guy, and he asks me if I'm a musician. I tell him, well, no, really not. That my mother was a musician, and the best I could ever hope for was to be a noisemaker. So he kind of listens to us, and he tells me, goes to introduce himself, and says, "Hi, I'm the Afrobeat Messiah." And I was a little stunned. I didn't know there was a such thing as an Afrobeat Messiah. And I said, on the off chance there was one, how likely is it I would bump into him at the Newport Beach Main Library leaving the recording studio? Okay, so anyway, he chats and eventually leaves. And, oh, you got to check out my stuff. Oh, I will. I ain't but one Afrobeat Messiah, I'm sure. So anyway, time comes to, he kind of goes on, and I'm like, geez, what a great boat name, Afrobeat Messiah. Can you imagine pulling the yacht club after, a day on a race course and, Afrobeat Messiah? And then I thought, well, geez, maybe that would offend some people, right? I can't do that. Maybe that would offend some people. So, and maybe I ought to have a disclaimer. Maybe I shouldn't really claim to be the Afrobeat Messiah. Maybe I could honestly, truthfully swear to be the non-Afrobeat Messiah. So we got a little disclaimer in there, but we still get the Afrobeat Messiah on the side of the boat. And if it's on the side of the boat, it might be in duct tape, might not be, but you do those kind of things for the old Afrobeat Messiah. Ah, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe we are almost coming down on the end of our first hour? And let's you call in, give us a call 949 629 3820 and let us know what's going on. Are you a Newsom 2028 kind of person? I think I am at this point. Hey, Newsom, I mean, aren't we just like, we're Democrats. We'll vote for anybody that's halfway decent. Just, oh, and while you would think that uh, everybody sees things in a fairly liberal way, the truth of the matter is, in my hometown, they might have a 28% rating. So, but yet, uh, you just it just never works out. It just doesn't. Even I got to have debating a Sprout says these sandwiches for like $5. And it's funny, today was $5 sushi day, so we also had $5 sushi. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, uh, anyway, and like I said, today was $5 sushi day at the Vaughn's on 17th Street. And it's funny, there are three grocery stores on one, two, three big ones. Oh, let's see, there's the Ralph's Fresh Fare. Then there's the regular Ralph's, and then there's Trader Joe's. So you got all this stuff fairly close, but yeah, when you go out in the hood, you go miles without seeing a grocery store. And why is that? Well, I think we know they couldn't make enough money to justify being there. Maybe they were robbed. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were being threatened. Maybe they weren't. Maybe, worst of all, maybe their family was being threatened. Nice little store here. Be ashamed if you lost it. So we'll come back for the insurance next time. In the meantime, have a good week. Yeah, that guy's dying to get out of Dodge. Uh, but as for what, we're getting really dry. I'm betting that everything like my water and all of that is uh, you know in the actual library. I got to put my things down until I realized that I would be leaving a lot of stuff inside because I didn't want to kind of cramp Katie's style and all that. And pretty, let's see if this works. How about that? Huh. Uh, that is too funny. Okay, well, I tell you what, let's start going back inside. Let's hide that. Let's not do that to us. Absolutely necessary. So let's kind of see what we got here. All right, we have this and this. Panel power. This we can. Let's put this in here. And we don't really care how nice and neat that is or isn't. But we'll put this in here. And we'll put this in here. And then we'll see about making our way back inside. Are we ready? I don't know. Let's kind of hope so. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, getting ready to move back inside. You know, it's a nice day, but I really want to use my microphone and headphones and all that and make this a decent quality broadcast for you. Turn the corner, and the door's within sight. And we are about to enter the outer sanctum, which comes right before the inner sanctum. Thanks, Katie. So anyway, we are back. I know it's always a shock, but we are actually back. So let's go ahead and put this down and kind of plug in and see where we are. So anyway, let's kind of check in here and unpack and set up the old power stuff. Oh, huh. How about that? Apparently, Classic Mara posted a video and saw fit to tell me about it. So we'll check in on her, even though I'm still a little shocked at how the social media stuff works. And but anyway, we got to dig up the old XLR cable, and then we'll see how the old pod mic thing works, because that's kind of new and we don't usually use that kind of thing. So we'll do that. And then we'll see about formally logging in and get on with the business of entertainment. I guess that's kind of optimistic of me to call it that, but that's probably as close as we will get. So sorry to do this in front of you guys, but it's kind of one of those necessary things. So that's but oh, maybe that's how they do this. So the mic is kind of off to the side, and we still kind of get on in there. So let's check out our XLR cable. It's just another name for the microphone cable But because I had a little bit of foresight, I got the Scarlett Focusrite 2 i2 with the with two inputs, so I can actually plug my electric guitar right on in and make this about politics and music. But we don't want to upset the apple cart too much here. So we're just about ready here. Let's get that old. Let's get that old Scarlett 440 going here. I'll put that here. Okay, so now we need the cable, the computer cable, and the C2C cable. Let's see, how about this? So and the reason we're doing this, ladies and gentlemen, is that we got here about 11:30 or so, but Katie needed to go have a lunch, and we always let Katie go have lunch. She's always been really nice and helpful to us. So, I power to the 2i2. And we'll go power to yield microphone, which will go in like this. And then we probably will pick channel 1. And there we go with that. So that kind of looks good. And now we'll go for headphones. And sorry about that. And today just happened to be Friday. So
Anyway,
hey. So anyway, that's what we're doing here. And we are almost ready to join the broadcast world here. And we have the old headphones ready. Well, at least we got them handy here. And step back. You know what? I was kind of like to turn that light off. Wonder how you do that, but for right now, let's kind of get us on the road, I guess you would say. So and there's that. And there's that. And just thinking that once we put this into the old headphone jack, that will be the last piece of the puzzle. So let's put that around here. And then we still need to, after we do that, it'd be kind of nice to not, not drain the power so much. So we need to keep the old MacBook, powered up. We're running these Focusrite through it, so it's doing its fair share. And let's see that and then we need like this, and then maybe the phone just to this. How about that be like just in case. Let's put this down. Man. And of course we got yeah, right, got it now. All right, and now get the old pod mic here in position, and we are ready to rock and roll. But actually, before we rock or roll, we don't need to have the Be Right Back thing on. But let's go back to the beginning here. And I made some kind of notes this morning, but things we might want to chat about. Okay. And, I had kind of talked to you about seeing the New York Times and the Financial Times, right next to each other. And, the headline now, and the Financial Times was oil spikes to over $100. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, and the ceasefire is fragile. Now, over at the New York Times, well, let's go a step further. And the next thing they had mentioned was about the pressure on private credit, which we chatted about briefly. And it just talked about the House and the Wise. And the total private credit fund total is right at $300 billion. But investors in those funds trying to yank out $20 billion. So, what's that, 8%? A little more would be 10%. And, that's the whole private credit thing. Or how about GMAC and Ford Credit or whoever it might be? So you see why all these things are so sensitive. But then again, at the New York Times, what we had was what was it, the battle of the Republicans versus the citizens. And how do Republicans fight the citizens? Or let's say there's some legislation passed, and let's say the Republicans kind of voted down. Like, let's say the population is a really good current example. Let's assume that people want to have no abortions in their state. Okay. And the legislature thinks that's a little touchy and they just don't want to deal with it. So let's say a group gets together and says, we really want this. We want abortion in our state. So, and we are confident that if we get it on the ballot in the form of an initiative or, pretty much whatever those things are called, that we'll get that. Okay, fair enough. So they start, gathering money and all that. And let's say the original deal was you have to get 50,000 signatures, verifiable signatures, before you can get something on the ballot like that. And it really does make sense. You don't want everything on the ballot. Even though in some places it'd be nice, you just generally don't see that. Uh, so well, let's say it starts up with 50,000 of signatures, verifiable signatures. Well, let's say things are going pretty good for you, and let's assume that you will have an easy time getting 60,000. But what if? And I usually don't hate doing the what ifs, but it's kind of necessary. But what if? What we just talked about? Oh, come on now! It was just on the headline. I was just had. Oh, so what they would do is, let's say the Republicans that control the state legislature say, okay, but now we're going to change the rules. Now we're going to require, how about 75,000? How about 60,000 signatures, verifiable signatures? So while you were pretty comfortable getting, 50,000, yeah, you might have gotten almost every last vote you can get at that point. Uh, so what does 60 do? It effectively keeps you out of the election. And you know the truth of that is, particularly those kinds of decisions are just so personal that the state really does have no business mandating it or prohibiting. And what I think about that is it's kind of unique to the South. And like I can kind of speak about the South, having been born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. My dad's side of the family is from Savannah, Georgia. We kind of get it. So, um, and the South is still to this day, and it will always be this way until people have suffered enough that they will embrace change. Otherwise, you get a result like you get in the district, and I think it's Rome, Georgia, where Marjorie Taylor Greene retired, and there was an election for the rest of her term, which is obviously through November. And you had a contest between a local prosecutor who was in white, endorsed by Trump, and you had a former brigadier general named Sean Harris who was black. And I'm sure it's just nothing but ingrained. But a white Southerner won't know who to vote for because he won't vote for the guy, he won't vote for the black guy. So, and it was still a good showing. I thought he got, yeah, he lost by what, 12 percentage points. I think it was 44 to 56. I think that's 12. You never know about my math. So, we'll get him next time. But the South is still largely poor, largely rural. And I know you wouldn't be shocked to hear that, what goes with that is ignorance and poverty. And, if anybody is familiar with Randy Newman, way back when he wrote this song called, I want to say it's Rednecks, but it's something like that. Anyway, he was writing a few political songs, but the redneck one is it goes stuff like, we're rednecks, we don't know our ass from a hole in the ground. But they're rednecks, but we're rednecks, and guess what? What do we do? And we're just keeping the niggas down. I mean, that's not a very good reason to exist, and that's probably not the best reason, to have that kind of position. And you know what? Let's digress for a second. Let's go back to the thing about making good decisions and how really crucial that is. I always thought the better decision would be obvious, but some people just are so used to doing things one way they can't conceive of a change. My buddy John Brown's an excellent example. He, at least tells me despises Trump and everything he stands for, but he's a reliable Republican voter. Not only is he a reliable Republican voter, his wife paid. Let me repeat that. His wife actually paid. Oh my God, I shouldn't laugh. To go see the movie Melania. Now, I don't really keep up with the movies, and I kind of hate being indoors in a closed area with a bunch of strange people. And you know what? Talk about that. I won't do our rap for you now, and because it's kind of related to that. And it goes like this: I keep my beer in a koozie. I don't date no floozies. All my mistakes are doozies, just like people talking to movies. So I kind of digress, but I had to get that out. And I don't know if anybody else does what I do. They probably do, and would never ever tell a soul they do it because, and they have the reputation to uphold, and they just probably want to be decent guys. So let's now we're in position to take some water. We'll swallow hard, and let's try to punch through the last 2.5 hours of the Abby Kaufman Show, coming to you live and streaming from the Newport Beach, California. And I'm going to put my jacket on because it's starting to get cold inside here. So let's, I'm sure you would be happier with your host that's warm and alive instead of one that's like cold and dead or ill. Something cracked. We have no idea what it is, but something kind of cracked. So, oh man, but this is still really nice, and so, and I want to kind of give a shout out to the Laguna Beach Democratic Club. Their turnout is always nice. It's always huge. It's always engaged. And, it's coastal Orange County, at least the part I'm familiar with, and Newport and Corona and all that. There's just so much affluence here that the price of things for a lot of people are completely irrelevant. For instance, there's what's his name, the guy that developed the Grove, that Dad Randall Rent-A-Car, Rick Caruso. He's got I think a 300-foot boat called Invictus, and yeah, that's one of those know your own self kind of guys. But anyway, he's got this 300-foot boat called Invictus, and I'm going to assume that it runs. Well, you know what? Let's assume this gas engine, and no diesel. Let's just assume that. And he has to have, if I was a betting person, at least the capability to hold 1,000 gallons of gas and maybe 500 gallons of water. And let's say, gas on the water is, I don't know, like $8 a gallon. But if it was $10, no problem. So the tank costs $10,000 more. And, at what point would Rick stay at the dock? As opposed to, I'll pick on me. I told you guys I drive a 2026 Jaguar S-Type, kind of sun-faded and all that, but it's got the Ford 3-liter V6, so it's as economical as I can be, all things considered. And now, of course, we have to, get a smog. I kind of thought at 20 years you got the buy, but maybe it's 25. God only knows that stuff. So, and then of course we had to do a little guitar looking. I hate that because I always love those things more than you'll ever know. Yeah, it seems my grandparents had owned a building supply store when I was growing up, and and uh, and oh well. Let's moving right along. So anyway, yeah, I think if I bring my Telecaster up here, I can plug it right in and really make life miserable for my listeners. Actually, that's not true. We would do anything to get a few more callers, and we'd ask you to call in at 949-629-3820, and we'd love to hear your voice and thoughts, and if you just want to vent for a little while, we are happy to listen. So, and just out of curiosity, has anybody heard about that list of businesses from Costa Mesa? I think they just call it something incredibly simple, like Democrat-friendly businesses. And we've got to, I'll go to their next meeting, but, we'll be curious to see how well we are received. We got a very kind reception at the Laguna Beach meeting the other night, and we can only hope to build on it. And the truth of the matter is, we are a platform for Democrats, liberals, and progressive thinkers. Donald Trump has done so many bad things so quickly. It's you obviously can't buy our way out of this stuff. And when you can't buy your way out, you have to think of a way, and that's usually better. So, yeah. And I can't help but Trump's such a geek. Can you imagine not being allowed to run a charity because you ran one and bought your own portrait? Now, see, again, with me, I don't think you need much more than that to not to not vote for somebody. How January 6th wasn't automatically disqualifying in the minds of American voters, I have no idea. I'm awfully curious about it. Uh, the truth of the matter is we can do so much better. And we had the opportunity to do better. Was Kamala Harris perfect? No. But she was a Democrat. And, we just owe them. When somebody it puts themselves in a position to take a bullet and, whether the bullet's in the ass or wherever it still hurts. Yeah, and on the subject of all that, can you imagine? I certainly can. What it would be like to have a speeding piece of metal, kind of dome shape, coming to a point and then going through your body. Or how about those really dumb things that like have hollow points and explode? And they leave like the tiniest hole going in, and something the size of a basketball going out. You got a tennis ball going in and a basketball coming out. Hopefully he died quickly. Oh, that's a hell of a thing to wish for. We would always prefer the painless option if there's a choice to be had. But like I said, that's not always a choice to be had now, is there? So, uh, let's see what else we had in mind today. So let's see. I know how about this one? Does anybody remember the Suez Canal crisis that led to the Arab oil embargo? And at that time, gas was, pretty expensive, all things considered. But you could get it. What if we come to the point where you just can't get gas? No more. Pretty scary. What would you pay? I mean, Caruso could pay $10 a gallon. He could pay $20 a gallon. What if it cost him $20,000 at $10,000 off his boat? Somehow or other, I don't think he would let that get in the way. So, and as far as Elon Musk goes, yeah, geniuses get a mental pass for being a genius and being creative and all that stuff. But it's not always warranted. So, well, something to think about. And another thing, as I walked to the car a few minutes ago, I looked down, and lo and behold, what did I see? But a relatively new, fresh banana peel. And somehow I got through law school, and of course, there's always the banana peel case. And what it usually comes down to is somebody slips and falls on it, right? And matter of fact, there's a whole area of the law called slip and fall cases. So anyway, let's say somebody slips and falls on the banana peel. And so the obvious question is also too, how did the banana peel get there? And how long had it been there? So let's assume the parking lot was empty and the visitor was the only one there. So let's assume it came from the visitor and the visitor drops it. Now the question is, did the landowner have a chance to figure it out? Because if he had a chance to figure it out and failed, he's on the hook. And if he didn't, he's on the hook anyway. So there's a little difference of opinion there. And I'm going to try to do this if at all possible. What I want to do is I want to check that email real quick. But what I want to do is I want to go to youtube.com and I want to access Uh, 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 uh. I want to access uh, ROROEGER guitar. Let's make sure it's an acoustic. I think that's the only thing he builds. God knows I hate to want to get a ukulele. I wish anyone wants that offended me so much about that, but it does. So anyway, it's now. Well, of course, YouTube thinks that I am not watching, and how come it's not there? Well, let's put Tom first and see if that doesn't need a worthless piece of human excrement. Yeah, but I digress. Uh, we wanted to get that video of Tom Ratio or something. Zager. Those guys just only in the year 2525, and at that point, it's all academic. We don't know if we'll even be here. But I cannot believe, how did I find it the other day? Oh, what? Maybe we'll do it like that. But I get all yawn here as we approach 136. It's your friendly neighborhood host, Abby Kaufman. Give us a call, 949 629 3820. We'd love to hear from you. So let's, so anyway, here's apparently the deal. An OM13. I can't. Oh, yeah. Let's see what the big deal about. Let's go back to Google and let's see what makes the Nick Lucas 13 fret guitar. A 1929 Nick Lucas 10,000 smackaroos. I don't think we'll be getting that. There's Tom Rachel's M13 LRO for $2,000. Nick Lucas Murphy Spotlight. Let's see. Let me check this out. More music source double O is well, we know it's kind of a cheaply made guitar thing, but let's see what Well, you never know here, but as we kind of approach the 1:45 hour, we want to invite everyone to give us a call, 949-629-3820. This is your not so rocking web host. What's my name? Abby Kaufman. Just a little, probably throw that in, just a little Abby Kaufman humor. So let's kind of do that. Let's see if we can back into this. We've got a little sushi to eat over there, and that's always a welcome thing. And you know, let's see, the Guitar Center. That Weed Patch Music is no longer around. The official Martin Guitar Forum, we don't need champagne. Let's see what they say about this. Sent and related website. Let's see. Santa Cruz obviously has something to say. They make a 13 fret something or other. Power box. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're gonna have much in Santa Cruz guitars are completely different things. There's the one we made in. Let's see, I don't know, 2014, also it's been a while back. Let's see here. Between the bridge places. Huh. Well, let's see, that's not going to be particularly helpful. But let's scroll back in here and see if we can find out a little something about Tom Ray Jones M13 guitar. I probably should have hit reviews at some point also, but and the Guitar Spa, Guitar Center. Hey, let's take a look at that real quick while we're here. And things. Now, where do here they are. Champaign, Illinois. We get a bunch of page and we get like these acoustic guitars. And how do I want this? Let's go newest first. And now what? 106 possibilities. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 51, 54, 56, 58, 61, 64, 67, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 77, 80, 83. Okay, let's do this. Okay, and let's, guys, we're gonna go down to a quick little break. We'll be right back. So stay with us. This is your host, Abby Kaufman from Democracy Radio Network, the AbbyKaufmanShow.com, and we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, and sorry about it, ladies and gentlemen. We are right back, and welcome back to the Abby Kaufman Show on DemocracyRadioNetwork.com. We are the home for Democrats, liberals, and progressive thinkers on the net. Silence is compliance, so call in now. Abby Kaufman, 949-629-3820. And let's hear from you on this Friday, April the 10th, 2026. And let's blow the on. Let's see. While we were gone, we took a little sushi break for lunch. And I guess the moral of the story is that man does not live by peanut butter and jelly sandwiches alone. And since now today is $5 sushi day, it's always always a good idea to try and be kind of healthy about things. I say that as I'm probably the least unhealthy, most healthy person around. What has made a ton of difference is going to the sauna every morning. I have no idea what the sweating does, and but the truth of it is, when you leave, you do feel a whole lot better. And what's that thing? Oh, feel a whole lot better when you're gone. But let's get back into the studio here and remind everybody this is the Abby Kaufman Show. It's 2:02 more or less in Newport Beach, California. And like it's about 70 degrees, sunny, perfect day to go sailing. But I was sailing the rain and the cold, so don't take my word for it. And because we seem to actually sneeze like once or twice in the sauna, despite having no cold, I try to always keep a Kleenex in my trunks, I guess you call them, that I use in the sauna. Because somehow or other, I lost my favorite pair of Patagonia board shorts. And of course, what I really like about board shorts is none of that mesh underwear stuff to kind of creep you out a little bit and hanging loose is kind of my thing. So be that as it may, I had lost them somehow. I have no idea what it was. And I need somewhere daily to go in the sauna. So I went by ye old Salvation Army on Harbor Boulevard and found a pair of swim trunks that fit me that had the mesh stuff in there. And I thought to myself, since there are other people in the sauna, it's probably a better idea to use the mesh. But man, I still like to hang loose as much as possible. So, like I say, let's see what else is going on in the world today as we made some kind of notes while we were talking about the private credit crunch. Oh, and of course, gas got so expensive. A lot of the European countries, instituted some fuel tax cuts to give people more cash to pay for it, or technically to make the gas less expensive. Um, but they really want them to release it quickly. Guess why? Because they can't afford it. And if they can't afford it and do it anyway, it'll be financed with debt. And that's just you can see how insidious this whole private credit thing is. Sorry, that was blocking the monitor here. And here I had mentioned this before. The world, this is a headline from the Financial Times. The world wants to see whether Trump will change his mind again on the Iraq truce. Now, what Trump is incapable of understanding is that consistency is good. As a corollary to that, consistency is a sign of good mental health. Flip that on its head, and erraticism, being erratic, also makes you a little suspicious. So, after Reagan's brilliant strategy of emptying, closing down the mental institutions, and at the same time cutting him. Anyway, you get it. So let's move right along. Oh, what a bit. See the now. What didn't he know about Melania? Huh? What is possible that Trump would have known before? Look at a few guitars here. Oh, and it says that that they have 91 acoustic guitars in this place. Is that really good? 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, 19, 22, 25. Since we're being casual here, let's keep the old shoes off and share that with the rest of the population today. And as we move right along, 23, 26, 29, 32, 35, 38, 41. So it's been a little while. So let's take a big picture look at this. Let's see, it's 1 fret, 2 fret, 3 fret, 4 fret, 5 fret, 6 fret, 7 fret, 8 fret, 9 fret, 10 fret, 11 fret, 12 red. Let's go back and see a little something about it. Oh, maybe we shouldn't have gone away for it so quickly, so let's get it back here. Kind of see what's going on. You worthless piece of shit. Yeah, come on. Let's see, can we? It's always a pain to do. Well, let's see what that says. Well, there we go. Let's see what else we got going on here. Let's Google Willis Allen Ramsey. Here we are. And let's see where this is Abby Kaufman coming to you live and in color from Newport Beach, California, as the host of the Abby Kaufman Show. We're glad to be with you on this gorgeous Friday afternoon at 2:11 in Newport Beach, California. And I don't really know who this guy is, so let's scroll back and see what they say about him. His seminal and soul SOLE album. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see what. Let me keep doing that. Let's see what he's doing. Oh, we got this guy from LCM Guitars. Let's see. Jerry, Jeff, and Richie. Huh. Okay, well, that still doesn't really help us very much, but 11 posts. I'm a sucker for Telecaster. 3, 5, 7. Okay, let's bail out of. Well, we don't necessarily want to bail out of that. Let's see what he has to say about him. Imagine not a cult guy in Texas. Heaven forbid. Born in Birmingham, Alabama, raised in Dallas. Oh my God. She's a baritone, well, see, so forth. Not Wayland. Huh. Let's see, Pierre on Austin City Limits in 2000. And let's see. Oh, let's see here. Oh, let's see what. Huh. I guess he's still living 40 years ago. The Eddie's attic in Atlanta and the Gray Eagle. So, huh. Well, I don't know how we did that, but good deal. Now we have the library tours. We don't really want to do that on Facebook because you suck. But there's on the other hand, there's not much to be done when you do stuff like this. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is 2:17 at Newport Beach. This is your host, Abby Kaufman at DemocracyRadioNow.com, DemocracyRadioNetwork.com. And let's hang on just a second. Let's take a little look at what's going on the phone. Let's see, go ahead. I don't know why we didn't do that or didn't do that, but select StreamYard code, musicians, fan canvas, space. And then while we're, here, let's see if we can track that package. Hopefully it'll be here soon, but the order's been dispatched by carrier, whoever. Okay, well, we'll log up there. And we'll put these two out also. And we'll have to go get some decongestants in a few minutes ago. But, well, no. Let's go ahead and get in a few things about this about what we want to talk about today. And how about this? The European Union is. Oh, let's get that. How about Southeast Asia? And as the Philippines struggle because of the Gulf energy crisis, guess what? Costs have gone up, and so they need fuel. They need oil, and they're in the Philippines. And so what do they do? We know what they do. We always know what they do. So they are looking to become buddy with President Xi in China. Oh, wow, you could knock me over with a feather. Donald Trump screws them, and so they look someplace else for assistance. So you know what, though? We're going to have to go get some of those decongestants. My nose is starting to run. So we'll put the old shoes back on, run down to the car, make a little stop because nature calls. And you know, I don't think it's nature calling me as much as my kidneys. And oh, by the way, who exactly started that? The call of nature. Yeah, I think it's more like the call of my bladder that's gonna burst. So anyway, we'll be right back. Abby Kaufman, Democracy Radio Network.com, the host of the Abby Kaufman Show. Thanks. Hold on right now. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thanks, guys. We are glad to be back with you and Abby Kaufman, the Abby Kaufman Show. It is 2:29 in Newport Beach, California, and we can get rid of the "be right back" because we are back. Being a media guy ain't easy these days. So let's I wonder if there are any other, let's see, animal guitars for sale. Yeah, but do they have any? And I don't even see that one. Wait, Ferguson? There's a triple O. Huh. Oh, nice looking neck. Right. So let's see what the wood combination here. Mahogany. Mahogany. How much is this? Jewel. 3,500 bucks. Yeah, I just don't think we pay that. Yeah, I know what it is. Huh. Yeah, are they? We didn't know much about what do they call it, Stars Guitars in Colorado before today, but let's nose around and I'm sure they have something I would like to play. They have 71 guitars. Let's just set it as acoustic. And what are my other choices? That would be, oh, there's 36 acoustic. And we'll sort them out. Let's do date new to old. Okay, so this just came in then. Huh. Wow, two all double O's. Oh, Walnut J185. Okay, we're getting there, aren't we? I am the Fredo Bandito. Another example of a politically incorrect campaign was that we have that. Then there was the Calgon bath oil, the ancient Chinese secret. And then the worst deal of all time was Sambo's restaurant with the picture of Sambo. And would you believe Sambo was black? Yeah, I didn't think you would. So why isn't this here? I mean, I just not unless it's been sold, but I mean, God only knows. Why can't we? Oh, there we go. Let's see. So what if I any chance it's for sale on a reverb? That's now you're only a little more talking. Uh, what were we doing? We were doing reverb, and we were doing reverb for LCM guitars. We know there's one, but you never. I mean, it always depends on how the search is carried out. There's 156 things for LCM, but while we filter them out, see if it works that way. I used. Okay, let's see what we got here. We apparently we go from. Okay, well, it's not here. We went from 156 possible listings to 2, and only one of them makes sense. So yeah, I wonder if that would, what that would, and there's no way to know why it's not in the queue with the others. Come on. Huh. A decent sized gash in that thing. That is pretty nice. Okay, thank you, LCM Guitar, for Stars Guitars. Yeah. around. Wonder what that is. Culver. I think that's the. Every place has a tech these days. We are still here streaming, folks, from our secret location in Newport Beach, California. And it is 2:41, and this is your host, Abby Kaufman. Host the Abby Kaufman Show. Give us a call. That's what's on your mind, 949-629-3820. And in the meantime, I'll take a minute or two and keep looking at guitars for the time being. And they don't. I wish I would tell you who the builder is, so you have like some idea, whether you should take your guitar to him or not. And but geez, these guys have 160 used acoustic guitars. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Wonder how many get on the page. Be nice to get all of them. Okay, and we're going from top to bottom here. One of those Alvarez Eries cost $5,000. See, I just don't think that's necessary. But that $900 thing, yeah, we might be able to get it cheaper. $9.99. We are in the $9.99 section. $9.99, $99, $99. Now, why don't? Oh, because they may or may not have it. We're got to kind of wing it and see what happens. Well, it didn't take long to get to the 750s now, did it? No, now that we're here, yeah, if only Doc Fender could see his company now. I'm sure he would remember it, but God, he's got a shitload of Taylors and Martins and Alvarez, yeah, Eries, and I do kind of like that. But let's I wonder what that thing sounds like. What we see that? Where's that Stars guitars thing? Oh, you know what these guys do? I bet they're probably fairly decent people. Let's see. 106 acoustics. Seems a lot for that little store. But yeah, I forgot they actually had the mini stuff. Okay, 48. I guess that's how they do it. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay. 15, 18, 21, 24. 3. This is page 3 out of 5. And this is a place right up the road. We always kind of wonder what kind of junk they must have with it because they couldn't afford to be really competitive. So, with that in mind, they do the old Takaminis and the Cremoras and the Magillas. And I mean, you gotta have the Magillas, don't we? What's life without a Magilla? I guess if you really want, you can have a Magilla Gorilla, but that might be just a little too funny. But you know what? Let's see if we can get back here for a second. And why don't we log out of webmail? I don't think we really need that. And we'll go ahead and at least we can leave that. And let's see on guitars. And now let's see if we can't go to Google's Gemini. There we go. How about that? So, Jim, how are you today? I need some guitar help. Some guitar, also called a guitar. So let's that. Let's do that. And are we here? Yeah, I would. Let's always hope so. As we approach 240, figure 250 on Friday afternoon, April 9th, this is your host, Abby Kaufman, the Abby Kaufman Show. I invite you to call us now. Tell us what's on your mind. 949-629-3820. And there is John from Riverside. John, what's going on? Okay, so what do we do about it? Oh, I gotcha. Gotcha. Over and over. What is it, Roger Walk over now? Whatever. Let's talk to Gemini for a minute. There are 3 guitars that have piqued my interest lately. All are handmade. 2 come from LCM Guitars, Jerry Baker. And yeah, you bought this one. And the other one is a guitar shop function in Colorado. The third one is was built by Tom OGR. on the Guitar Center website. The collet model M-13 and let's four. Nice case. And the other thing, can you give me a quick analysis of these guitars? We are coming up on 3 o'clock, but let's hit that now. And we're still live streaming through StreamYard.com, our wonderful web host, our streaming host. So, anyway, that's a very specific and tasteful trio of guitars. You are looking for instruments from small shop like these rather than mass produced brands, which usually means a higher level of attention to detail and soul. Okay. LCM Jerry Barker. Okay. Let's see, my take. Do you know, I wonder what the dimensions for all three. Okay. Style O. It's in the Goldilocks size. Okay. Uh, uh, could be bought for. Have you evaluated for Gibson versus let's see what that is. It's the only one out in case. And we really, I mean, no decent handbill was. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? We are continuing to do a little guitar exploration. Excuse me, I am your host, Abby Kaufman, the Kaufman Show. Give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on home and on what's going on your ride home on this, what do they call it? Friday, yeah, whatever the kids do these days. That is, whatever the kids do, and then I'll hop up on the goofballs because that's a 50-50 probability these days. And a quick reminder that radio show hosts do not live by sushi alone. So if you get a chance, hit the PayPal donate button. 20 bucks here, 50 bucks there. All makes a difference for overhead and rent and everything else. So we appreciate your support because we are here to give Democrats a voice. We are here to win seats in every house. We are here to win seats at the school board level. I mean, this is grassroots politics. These are people organizing to talk about their kids at school. Now, I have no idea why that is, but something seems like there's a little crackle. Could that be? I don't know how or why, but maybe there is. Huh. Well, we'll have to fish that one out, but we won't do it today. Let's see here. Let's see if you pick guitar. Uh, you know, yeah, one, uh, O, and double O, and so, oh, do you have any idea as to how why the neck is at the nut? Always up. Oh, and yeah, what is neck profile? This we do like those kind of chunky things. And this is, like I say, Abby Kaufman, your host. Call in at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's on your mind as we take a little healthy old coffee to stay awake from the last 56 minutes of our broadcast today. It is Friday, April 9th, no, April 10th. Why do you keep doing that? Okay. Uh, mm, uh, uh, mm, mm, uh, LG, let's see. And let's see here. Amelia Gibson, LG-2. That would be a whole different kettle of fish. There we go. There we go. And pay for it. You see, can finance. So let's see what they have to say about this guitar. The final frontier of guitar buying. Okay. Guitar Center gear card. Wow. Okay. Let's see. I can't believe this now. There's like I don't know, a guitar thing somewhere. Yes, you'd pretty much have to take it to Doc. And let's see if we can find Stars guitars. I mean, where are these guys? Huh. How wild is this? I don't. We'll see. Okay, then apparently we can pay that off. That'd be like $500 a month. It'd still be expensive. I wonder. Oh, I know that can be financed. And how about Stars Guitars World One and Moncton on Reverb was number 2. And then we had Guitar Center at number 3. But where they are. wonder what this is. Cedar Edge. Uh, yeah, I mean, I know I do like small body guitars. It's just well, short of just have to be able to afford them is the deal. And the LCM Catherine 150. Uh, well, what kind of, where is Cedar Edge, Colorado? Just out of curiosity. And we want to check in as we approach 3:15. Uh, on the western side. Oh, I know what that is. It's near Colorado. Uh, Mesa Verde. Mesa Verde National Park. Let's see. That's well, yeah. See, 3 hours north of Mesa Verde. Oh, God only knows. Thanks, Jeremy. Will keep an eye and see about price reductions. Okay, well, yeah. So how about that? Uh, let's take a look at the electric guitars just for the heck of it, at least the ones that show up. Since you never know these days, uh, but you know something, yeah, you gotta be able to play them. And I just don't see any of these as being, yeah, must have. I mean, I would play one of those Jason Isbell things, and what a great band. What kind of stuff is that? Ooh, a Chet Atkins. Yeah, you gotta love anything with the old chin in it. We got Windy and Warm, I think, was a popular thing guys would play. So let's see how this stuff works. But how about that? They do not have that in their listings. Well, there ain't much to be seen, is there? Let's. How about that? Let's respin that. Uh, how about if we just did some kind of generic Googling about the old Jerry Barker LCM guitar? LCM guitar. Catherine 150. I don't know what that means, but let's see. Let's try that. Let's see. Oh, be interesting to know if this was the one. Let's try this. Gmail. Well, and we are almost there, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason, this is just the damnedest thing. Okay. And let's. I guess we don't have a choice, but I guess we can do that. Okay. Oh, yeah. English. Jesus. Uh, well, let's see what we can. How about if we go LCM guitar? Hmm. Uh, oh, we just now. Let's scroll back. Yeah, that's what we want. How about the white? Let's go back to the old history and see what. Let's see, that did. That does. So, did that help any? Uh, see, so now that blows. Well, ladies and gentlemen, why don't Taylor? Mm-mm. Huh. And you know what, Jim? How can you tell if guitar is on? Guitar shop. Oh, that's okay. Let's go back here and check in as we approach 3:30. And oh, we're doing good. We're starting to charge a little bit. So let's see here. Guide to consign guitars. Oh, sorry about that. A little bit of radio silence, folks. We had to take a little something and prod the bottle to my lips, if you know what I mean. Uh, but anyway, that's uh, that's pretty peculiar. But I wonder, uh, um, wonder how you get to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison from Newport Beach. Let's ask Goog. How about Newport Beach to Black Canyon Gunnison? And let's see what that does for us. But so how do we get there? We're in the Rockies. Amtrak? Huh. Welcome back to the... Don't know how that works, but let's see here. Oh. No, that's not what I want. Newport Beach to the Black Canyon. 800, 900 miles. God, it's a lot. Well, Vegas is what, 280 or 3? Vegas, so you go out north. Wonder how let's see how they do that. Oh, they just go to the 70. I-15 to I-70. That's exactly what they do. Okay. Phoenix. I think you go right at Salt Lake City. Let's see. Let's see. Follow. Okay, well, imagine that we have to get her on, so follow I-15 north to the 70 east for 763 miles. And then how far from Salt Lake City? Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but like I say, yeah, we are getting as used to this as you are. So, anyway, that's about how we feel that idea on consignment. So, anyway, the Catherine 150. A lot of money, though. Yeah, we need to get that. Oh, you know what? I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, let's check out what's that place? Marvac. Excuse me, Marvac Electronics. And what we want to know is what's so funny about piece like, oh, we don't really want to know that. more back, and we need cables and cords. And we need, I don't know what all that stuff is, so let's look at all of them. Okay, come on. Now, what we want is, XLR. XLR. Uh, let's see, did I do it? So, uh, um, so the XLR goes there. No, but it's going to be the whole cable. There we go. What? $50 for a cable? Okay. So what is this? Okay, well, we know that at least shouldn't be that terribly expensive as we come down on our last 25 minutes of broadcast time with you today. This is your host, Abby Kaufman, at democracyradionetwork.com. We are your internet home for Democrats, liberals, and progressive thinkers. Give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind, 949 629 3820, and we'll be waiting for your call. Yes, in the meantime, we've done a little guitar looking for whatever reason, but that's, and I said, and I swore off handmade guitars for that very reason, as they're just not very liquid. So, that old LCM seems kind of nice. Uh, I'd love to hear a sound file or something. Oh, but you know what? Maybe we can just do it like this. Stars Guitars. Let's see, we want LCM. A Catherine 150. A folk size body. That's oh, what a pain. I hate when those things don't exactly open up. Uh, this one. made and brought to Colorado, but that's LCM guitars. That is. Let's go to YouTube for a second here and see what we got here. And surely that's stuff ought to be LCM guitar. Well, let's try this. Don't tell me I gotta find that. I'm a Jerry Barker. Muncie, Indiana, it's not the same. How about Colorado? See how that goes. See if that adds anything to the mix. And it does not look like it does. Huh. You know, it's such a add me to the mix. And lo and behold, we are back. So give us a call at 949 629 3820 and let us know exactly what's on your mind, what's on the old noggin. And we'll kind of go from there. What you say? Nate, I don't think I should have done that. I think I can just like copy and paste this into a brand new Safari page. My throat's getting a little sore here. Okay, let's get you back to Google, and then we'll kind of paste this back in. High gloss. sure he really cares with that. So, so hard to tell which. I mean, at this point, they all kind of look alike, if you can believe I said that. They all look alike. Yeah, some people just don't think that's too funny. And, that almost looks like it. We don't want to sell with that. Let's see what that has. Oh, how about we go one step further and actually use what we're looking for? What is he talking about? Okay, come on, let's get on with this. So we don't really know who or what he is talking to or about, so maybe we'll just kind of see what it will get on, yeah. Uh, so what is he trying to tell us? Um, alright, well that's done. So let's see what kind of moolah we got so we all have some idea what we're all dining on tonight. Oh, how about that? $128. So that's pretty much enough to do just about anything we could want. So hang on a second, let's plug this back in. Yeah. Sorry guys, your old host Abby Kaufman getting a little old and having to stretch. Gotta hit those windows up top, but yeah, sometimes it's about as good as it's gonna be. So let's see if we can't narrow it down as to which one, which guitar but I would think that was the same thing, but what do I know compared to these 4-speed dual quad positive traction? The 4-speed dual quad positive traction 409 or something like that, but huh. God, what's it so hard to find this stuff? But that was, maybe that was something for LCM guitar. Okay, well, we're not gonna worry about it, but while we're kind of nosing around here, let's go to AI here. So, guys, what about did Yamaha ever make a guitar like a Martin OM-45? Yes. Let's see if we can find any of these. And what is this? Let's see what this does for us, if anything, because we are live for another 10 minutes. Call us, drop by, do something. Yeah. Could that be $2,000 for that? Okay, well, so much for that. And what about this thing? It does look kind of nice here. But it doesn't say how wide the body is. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it's just about time to start packing it in here. So we're gonna start packing it in. It is like 10 minutes to 4, and we're gonna, like I say, first of all, let's get back to the live stream and thank everybody for hanging out with us today. It's like say 3:50 something ish, and we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. So we'll be back Monday noontime. Abby Kaufman, the Abby Kaufman Show, live streaming on the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com. And guys, vote, vote, vote. Take care. Bye now. And let's do that.